Hey guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome to another speed build. Today I'm starting a little build series. I'm going to be making a shopping center and we are in Nordhaven right now, which is the world that came with the Sims 4 businesses and hobbies. I just really liked this lot for a shopping center. It had enough space for a couple different shops and or restaurants like the one we're building today, and also has a nice little view out to the water. And I thought that I could make a cute little drive-through restaurant. You will recognize the shape of this drive-through restaurant, I hope, but if not, I'm not allowed to say the name of it. So hopefully you do. If not, there's Google. But I had to blur the images in the thumbnail image so that I would not be copyright claimed or trademark infringed, banned, all that good stuff. So hopefully I did a sufficient enough job and you actually get to see this. If not, then this is for nothing. But here's the basic start of it. I just wanted to make the general shape, got the box down, and I got the roof shape down. The colors come a little bit later because I had to play around with it, but basically it has kind of a Victorian style up to a platform, and then up on the very top platform I end up adding some roof vents and the little, I don't know what it's called, the little spinny silver thing that is on top of every pizza restaurant I've ever seen in my life, and also on fast food restaurants, and I believe that's like the grease vent trap thing. So I'm no technical terms, but either way, I make sure to add all those little tiny details because I had to get that just right, had to get the brick just right as well. I believe I used this one from Get Together. It was the perfect match for what I was looking for, and there's also a little sitting room out here. It's kind of like a sunroom area. That's where just I have two tables that are in here. Normally on this real life restaurant, this little sunroom area is bigger, but because it's Sims, there's really no point in making it any bigger. The Sims very rarely just sit at a table that you tell them to and eat their food. They walk around and eat because, I don't know, they can't be tamed. But here we are adding our little driveway section where the fast food lane goes through, and then I was working on the shape for the rest of the parking lot. I do end up using the Strangerville like parking blocks. I think they come in really handy for shopping centers, obviously, and that's the main thing I end up using from Strangerville in almost every single one of my community lots. It's very, very versatile. And I also use these little lane lines that came with Get Together. They're actually for swimming pools, but I thought they looked great just for lines on the road. So I placed them, and then I used the tool mod to size them down ever so slightly so they weren't so obnoxious. And they do not glow at night. I tested that because they looked a little glowy when I was putting them down. I did not have that problem, so no worries there. I also end up pulling up some debug and live edit cars so that we actually have some vehicles in the parking lot, and had to expand the parking lot a little bit because otherwise the cars would not fit. But I didn't want to fill up every single parking space. That seemed a little unnecessary. We have a cute little orange convertible, and then I put this pickup truck in the drive-through lane because I thought that was fun. Obviously, the drive-through window doesn't really work, and these cars are completely decoration, but I thought it needed it to complete the vision that I had in my head, and also all of the tiny little fences to go around where the drive-through lane is. But I end up adding more sidewalk slabs on this side so that it gives the illusion that you could also just walk up to the front of this restaurant and go in and order instead of going through the drive-through. I think that the vision came together very nicely after I had all of those staples in place. Then I decided to do a little bit of landscaping just out here where the sunroom is because I thought, just get it started. I kind of didn't want to start the interior, honestly. It seemed a little overwhelming and I didn't want to mess it up. So I started out here first as a distraction and to hopefully get a little bit more inspiration going. This took me, I think, 2 days, maybe 2-3 days to finish, just because I had the inspiration and I ran with it. It was very easy to finish, but then it was very difficult to get to the editing process because 'tis the season for illness. There was a bunch of illness in my house, and then there were events, and I got behind yet again. So my apologies for being super duper late as per usual, but I finally was able to get this voiceover done. So yay. We have started on the interior. We have some red countertops. I think those are just base game. I think those are the Harbinger counters, and they are in the red swatch. I also added the little cook station that came with Dine Out, which your sim can actually use to cook food. And then I was messing around with this half wall idea for a pretty long time, and I didn't know what I wanted to do with it. Eventually I get rid of it altogether, but I did want to make a little bathroom over here as well. We have 2 single bathrooms instead of using these stalls. I thought they would take up too much space, but we'll get back to those in a little bit. They're not that interesting. They are just simple public bathrooms. We also add some booth seating and some regular tables. Not too many, because again, I know The Sims, I know how it works, and if you have too many tables, it's overwhelming and it just crowds and gets in the way. And I didn't want you to have to deal with that, and I didn't want to have to deal with it either. Also, this lovely terracotta tile that is base game, and I thought that it matched really well with the vision I had for this restaurant, which will not be named, but you will see some images here. I pulled these off the gallery, and I will include the gallery owner's name in the description box so that you can go find them if you want. She has a bunch of very nice things on her gallery if you are interested in logos and pictures and paintings. She has quite a few. So I found that very, very helpful in creating this vision that I had. And then just some more base game wallpapers and tiles to get the kitchen done and the rest of the dining space done. And then I also had to draw a little fence around where the cooking area is so that when I make the small business, I can designate that as an employee-only area and the customers won't go back there and cook their own food, because we all know how that works, because again, this is The Sims. But wanted to throw some more pictures in here, and also some wall decals. That little cheeseburger I think is from Cats and Dogs. I sized that down a little bit. Also a chalkboard with the menu. And before I get too far into this, I do want to say that this build was recommended by a dear friend and also a subscriber, so thank you so much. You know who you are. Before I completely forget and overlook that tiny little detail. Also, these lights I thought were perfect. They came from the Cozy Kitsch kit, I believe. They're like the exact shape of what I remember being at this restaurant when I was a kid, because it was my favorite fast food restaurant. It is arguably still my favorite fast food restaurant, so I had to tip my hat to them and include a lot of the little distinguishing details like the lights and the sunroom. And then I wanted to throw in some trash cans. I love these from the Snowy Escape Pack, so I put 2 in different colors, one to be recyclables, one to be trash. And then I did a cute little thing over here on the counter with the empty tray of cookies that came with, I think that came with Spooky Day, if I remember correctly. That came from Spooky Day, and I used Tool Mod to move it down ever so slightly so that it's placed on the counter. And then I pull out these condiments that came with Outdoor Retreat. I lowered them into the counter to hide that wooden block, and then I just scooched them over to look like they were placed just behind the tray, because at this restaurant, if you ate inside, they gave you a tray, and they also had condiments nearby, and I thought that was a decent enough representation of that for The Sims as well. Working on the construction of the sign out here, because I didn't give a lot of detail to the one that I made in the front. I wanted to show you a little bit more of how I did it with the tool mod on the other side. So here I'm just replicating what I have done in the front, same sizing and then same placement so that it all matches. And it looks pretty okay at night. Obviously those are paintings on the wall, so the logos don't like light up like the rest of the sign, but it's okay. We can ignore that. We can just use our imaginations. We know how this game works. And then over here in the sunroom, we have some wall lights and also some more plants. There were lots of plants in these restaurants back when they had the sunroom, and they had plants, I think, like on a little half wall, and you could see into the sunroom from the rest of the restaurant, but I couldn't get that effect across in the game, so I did my best and just put the plants in here as best I could, and also up on the walls, and some more trash cans. And then we're going to work on the bathrooms, probably the least interesting of the entire build, but we have our standard toilet and sinks, and then I put a trash can in here as well, and a paper towel dispenser in each bathroom because that is necessary. And I tried to pick the most antique looking wall tile that I could find, and I used this one from base game, like the beige with the blue diamonds. I thought that was just, it was very old school in my opinion, so I tried to go with that on the floor and on the walls. And then I put more logos in the bathrooms, painted the ceiling with the limestone floor tile that came with Home Chef Hustle, and then I added the paper towel dispenser and also the hand sanitizer up on the wall because that was also necessary, and some more landscaping outside. And then when I went to play test this, I set it up as a small business, and one of the activities was eating food. I had my sim, who was the playtester, make the food and then put it in a cooler, The cooler goes just outside the bathrooms, so that way the customers could come in, browse, and buy their food items, and then they would sit down and eat them. So I did get to play test it, and it worked adequately for The Sims. If I wanted to run it as a restaurant, I could. But the problem with that is I couldn't put extra shops on the lot, which is the whole point. So here's some live mode footage of some customers going into our fast food restaurant. And this will be the first shop in the shopping center, obviously. If you have any suggestions, please leave them down below. And please be sure to like and subscribe if you like what you saw today. I appreciate you being here and watching. And I look forward to creating many more to fill out our little shopping center in Nordhaven. Thanks so much, guys. Bye.